the business school, you want to turn around and say, how do we run firms? And what can we do better in terms of running firms? And in the public policy school, we say, how do I make public policy? And how do I do better in terms of making policy and policy organizations that are able to deliver useful results into the world? Okay. I find this very useful framing of the science and the application. And I feel, for me personally, it's the engineering that has been exciting. That how can we run firms better? How can we do policy better? I think these are lovely, motivating questions. It makes me energized to make a contribution and be useful in terms of answering questions of real people. Okay, so now let's turn to firms. It seems to me that there is a gigantic and important puzzle in India, which is what is the firm? What is the Indian firm? Indian firms today are generally family dominated. There is probably about 20-30% of firms that have dispersed ownership. Probably 70-80% of firms are family dominated. We're a little like the United States 110, 125 years ago in that respect. We have a certain landscape in terms of law, contracts, enforcement, crime, fraud, theft, checks and balances. And in this landscape, the leadership of a firm is being asked, okay, go build a firm. Okay? Now that's very different from the puzzle of building a firm essentially anywhere else in the world. We have to be sui generis. We have to understand this landscape. We have to think about this landscape. And we have to think about how to build firms. And I think that's an incredibly important question. That what is firm modernization in India? What is the process through which firms are accumulating capabilities in India? Can our research illuminate the process of firm maturity in India? How do firms amass operational capabilities? How do firms amass productivity? If you pause to think deeply about it, there is essentially infinite labor available in India, and there is essentially infinite capital available in the world. So what's the only thing left for India to become a developed country overnight? It is management. It is the A. It is about how we put the labor and put the capital together and turn it into capable, sophisticated firms. It's a management problem. It's a technology problem. It's an organization problem. And I feel this is where business schools fit in. This is the task of the business school, of understanding that process, of studying that process, of deriving positive and normative insights on what we can do, and bringing up the next generation of young people, of the students who will go forth into this landscape and be a useful part of the change. And the insights have to be sui generis. We have to look into the Indian landscape. So I feel that we need to create a concept of what is the path to firm maturation. How do you convert a 10 crore firm into a 100 crore firm, into a 1,000 crore firm within 10 years? What is the positive economics and the normative economics of how you would do that? And I feel we've got to weave the technology deeply into that process. We have to find that sui generis methods of harnessing the fact that there is a CPU that is available at $1 and $5. The fact that there is a sensor available at $1 and $0.1. This is a game changer. But what you would do in the United States would differ profoundly from what you would do here, because we come into this in a completely different landscape of society, of people, of the way people talk to each other, of the way people engage with each other. Culture matters, culture counts, law matters, and the enforcement environment matters. So this is my thinking of the place of all this. I always tend to challenge that point of view, and I say, let's go deeper. Let's think about management. Let's think about organizations. Let's think about public administration from first principles. And let's redesign this to fit the modern world. And then we will not do what the US and the UK did 100 years ago at the Indian level of per capita GDP. We will develop something new. We will develop something novel. We will develop something that's deeply grounded in the Indian landscape. And we will develop something that is grounded in today's technological opportunities, which are completely different from what was prevalent 100 years ago in the West. We've got to solve our problems from scratch.